Hello everyone, this is Sureka Meena of 3rd BA English going to discuss about the contribution of some important comparatists. At first I am going to discuss about the definition of comparative literature. Comparative literature is defined beautifully by the famous American comparatist H.H. Remark. His definition is, comparative literature is the study of literature beyond the confines of one particular country and the study of relationships between literature on the one hand and the other areas of knowledge and belief such as arts, philosophy, history, social science and religion etc. on the other. It is the comparison of one literature with another or others. Let's see about some important comparatists. Harry Levin. Harry Levin is the professor of comparative literature at Harvard University, USA. He is of the opinion that comparative literature is not a discipline but an approach. He is one of the scholars who developed thaumaturgy on scientific lines. His critical anthology, Grounds for Comparison, contains valuable ideas about comparative literature. He is also influenced by new criticism. David Malone. Malone is professor of comparative literature in the University of Southern California. He wants the literary work to be studied carefully, and according to him, all researchers must lead to a better understanding of that work. We can find the influence of the new critics on his work. Influence study is not necessary for the works to be compared. René Willek. Willek is one of the leading comparatists of America. He is a product of the Prague School of Linguistics and settled in America. He was the professor of comparative literature at Yale University, America. His vast knowledge of European literature is reflected in his works. In collaboration with Aston Warren, he published a remarkable book, Theory of Literature. His History of Modern Criticism, in 5 volumes, is another remarkable publication. Henry H.H. Remark. Remark is an important American comparatist. Born in Germany, he got his doctorate from Hamburg University. He is professor of comparative literature at Indiana University. He has solved the misconceptions between the French and American schools of comparative literature. Remark is known for his famous definition of comparative literature, which I discussed before. Fernand Baldensperger. He is the most important French comparatist. He established the Comparative Literature Society in Sorbonne University in 1910. He was interested in thaumaturgy and influence studies. He built up the concepts of comparative literature and outlined its field. He is famous for his bibliography of comparative literature, which he prepared along with Friedrich. René Etchiambel. Etchiambel was a professor of comparative literature at Sorbonne. He is of the view that the comparatists should take up the study of aesthetics, parallel studies, etc. He encouraged the scholars to take up research in Eastern literature also. He himself was a scholar in Chinese and Tibetan language. Paul van Chegem. Paul van Chegem is known as the father of general literature. He is a scholar in Russia and many languages. He popularized the term world literature among the comparatists. His handbook of comparative literature is famous. He has written much on romanticism. Viktor Zyrmunsky. He is a very popular Russian comparatist. His ideas on literature were different from those of the communist Russia. He believes in the socialist view of literature that literature is a social document. He has made extensive studies on influence studies. Buddhadeva Bose. Buddhadeva Bose is mainly responsible for introducing comparative literature in India. He is a leading Bengali poet, novelist and a literary critic. In 1956, he founded the first department of comparative literature at Jadavpur University, Calcutta. He is known for his translation of French and German poetry into Bengali and established that Bengali literature was influenced by French and German literature. He founded the Jadavpur Journal of Comparative Literature. P. Meenakshi Sundaram. He is a scholar in Dravidian linguistics. He was the first Vice Chancellor of Madurai University. He is mainly responsible for introducing comparative literature in Madurai University. He has published several papers which bring out the relationship between Tamil literature and the other Indian literatures. Kailasapati. He is a comparatist from Sri Lanka. Professor Kailasapati was the Vice Chancellor of Jaffna University. He coined the Tamil term Oppiyal Ilakkiyam. He was a Marxian socialist. Thank you all.